In a 5-4 decision, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the vast majority of the Affordable Care Act. Widely known as Obamacare, the decision reaffirms the premier achievement of the Obama presidency. While speculation about the possible outcome varied, the rationale behind the decision was widely unexpected. Joining me to discuss is Alan Rappeport. Alan, what did people expect to happen and what was the reality?
Well, there were a few different possible outcomes. People were expecting either the individual mandate would be struck down, the law would be upheld, or the mandate would be struck down but some other provisions would remain. What ended up happening was the Supreme Court, as you said, voted 5-4 in favor of upholding the mandate, but not for the reason that the government had used as their primary argument, which was that it was valid under the jurisdiction of the Commerce Clause. In this case, they used the secondary or alternative argument that the mandate actually was a tax, and that Congress is allowed to levy a tax on people for not purchasing insurance. The other surprising thing was that it was Chief Justice Roberts who ended up being the deciding vote in favor of the act. Most people thought that it might be Justice Kennedy, who often tends to lean towards the liberal side of the bench.
Now, the healthcare sector has been involved in this debate from the beginning, and obviously the decision provides a bit of clarity. But so far, Wall Street has been mixed in response.
It's been pretty volatile so far today. Overall, healthcare stocks have been down a bit, but we've seen an interesting breakdown with winners and losers. Hospital stocks surged after the announcement because the new law is going to allow 30 million more people to have insurance, which is good for hospitals, so that people aren't turning up to emergency rooms and not able to pay for the medical services, which hospitals end up having to eat those costs. On the other hand, health insurance stocks, the big managed care companies like WellPoint, Aetna, and others have been down. That's because there are additional regulations that they're going to have to deal with. They're going to have to cover people with pre-existing medical conditions, and there's going to be limits and additional scrutiny on how much they can raise their premiums. So aside from the fact that they are going to be getting millions more customers, there is some concern about what that's going to do to their businesses.
Now, clearly this will provide a significant amount of political fodder for the upcoming elections for both Republicans and Democrats. And although we're only a few hours from the decision, what's the speculation about longer-term political ramifications?
Well, I mean, initially, President Obama and the Democrats were very happy and relieved that his signature piece of legislation, which he put a lot of political capital into during the first 2 years of his administration, was upheld. It would have been a big blow to him if it was overturned. On the other hand, this is appearing to galvanize the Tea Party and the Republican Party. Mitt Romney continues his vow to repeal and replace Obamacare, as he calls it. So I think what will happen is if the Republicans do win the presidential election, there will be a big move to try and dismantle this through Congress. But unless the Republicans get the House of Representatives and the Senate, it'll be difficult for them to completely undo it.
Alan, thanks so much for your thoughts.